They act like we got to meet each other again.
Yep.
Thanks for having me, man. How's everything?
I'm glad you're here.
Now I'm in your domain, right?
That's right. It's going to be completely different on Sunday. This place will be packed.
Bro, I've never been in one of these stadiums before.
Really?
Being brought up in Miami, born and raised, Homestead has a big racetrack out there. I would pass by, but never been inside.
This is where motorsports was born in Indy. They've been running here for over 100 years, and so this is probably the most important racetrack, at least in the country, maybe in the world. I wanted to talk to you about, first off, your college career, and this was a prolific time for being a college athlete, especially in Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big deal. You had all these celebrities around the team. I can't imagine how you guys stayed focused just to be able to go out there and play ball with all the attention y'all were getting, with all the things y'all were doing.
You're right. I think one of the things that, and I'm probably saying something that you can attest to, when you're doing what you love to do, you kind of can put on those blinders and not be kind of, I guess you can say, bothered by what's around you. But it's not easy, especially if you're not focused. But I think when you're one of those guys that, you have your mind made up on what you're trying to do and what you set out to do, you go out there and let it all hang out. And I think it was great for me just knowing I've seen it as a kid growing up, watching those big games, watching the Miami play the big teams like Florida State, or watching them in the national championship game. You always tell yourself, I want to be a part of that. I want that same moment. So when you finally get in it, and just to think, the way I got in it, I was a walk-on. So coming from being a walk-on and now playing on the big stage at the University of Miami, in my backyard, so many of my fans and family around me, they are there every week. I can't go far. I can't hide. I can't mess up, because those people are going to remind me, man, it was go time. And I never thought about, who was there. I always thought about making sure I did my job.
I got to know, so you're a walk-on, and how, I'm sure it didn't happen overnight, but how quickly were you able to show the coaches what you were capable of?
One of the things about our sport, and I'm not sure if it's the same with yours, the way you earn your respect from your peers and from the coaching staff is by out there on the practice field. And when you're performing against, especially if you're a guy who's not, going to be on one of those first or second teams, you go against you on a scout team. You on that team that goes against the number one defense every day.
Yeah.
And from day one, I had so many upperclassmen, and some of the guys who knew me from my neighborhoods who was already on that team, they would come into the locker room like, hey, you saw that number 48? And yes, they gave me number 48 my first year. That shows you that they care less about me, and I was a walk-on. But they would come in and they was like, hey, man, that 48 out there, he's moving. He's moving. And I would make play after play after play after play. And now I'm in this receiver room where, Reggie Wayne was in my freshman class with me as a receiver, and he was the top dog.
Yeah.
Like, even though we was freshmen together, you can easily see that he was going to be playing soon. But then you have a guy like me who no one knew, that was like, hold on. If Reggie won, this guy right here is right behind him.
Yeah.
But I think by week 4 or 5, I had no clue about it. I knew I was going to red shirt and play next year. That was the whole, gist of my little gig that they were saying they was going to give me. And we on a national televised game on a Thursday night, and I get thrown in the game. I'm on the sideline, and guys say, get in. And I'm like, can't be right.
What was going on? What was the situation?
Well, the situation was earlier that day, we had an upperclassman in Jamie German, one of the best wide receivers in the state of Florida, coming out of high school, that had been at the University of Miami for about 4 years. He was one of the best receivers. He had something off the field that was lingering, so he didn't know his fate, whether he was going to be able to play or not that year. And leading up to that game, that was going to be the day that he was going to find out his fate. He found out, the coaching staff found out earlier that day, but I didn't know. And so everyone knew that I was going to get in the game, but me.
You.
And I think they did that, saying we can't throw that at him so early, not knowing, we don't want him to, crap on himself.
Yeah.
So they waited to the last minute, and hey, they put me on the third down, and the ball came to me, and I made the play. My first ever college. I got in the game, and it was a third down, and I made the first down.
Do you remember that moment when you see the ball in the air, and you're like, I got to catch this ball?
You know what's so crazy? My high school coach always told us, he had this quote, and it was, it was opportunity favors preparation, or opportunities favors to prepare. I had been waiting for this moment all my life. And so building up to that day, not knowing when I was going to ever get my opportunity, I was preparing.
Yeah.
I was preparing for that one moment that I might get in the game. Not saying it was going to be that year, next year, but I was putting in the work. So when they called my number, even though I thought he was crazy for doing so, I said, hey, there's something going wrong, but I'm going to go in here. I was ready for the moment.
So you've had this really incredible college career, and you are going to go into the NFL. You get drafted by the Jets. You end up getting traded to Washington, and you have a breakout year. And you've since set the single season record for most yards receiving. That's a big deal to me. I grew up being a fan, obviously, of the team since probably 1982. You come in and you're a key player for the organization. Fans are, attaching themselves to you. You become this, synonymous name with Washington. Did you ever wonder if that was ever going to be possible?
You know what? Washington, to me, was that rookie season all over again.
Really?
I kind of took that approach to saying that, hey, I didn't start off my season in New York the way I wanted to as a rookie. Let me go back and remember everything I did that could be wrong or probably wasn't, to my acknowledgement, at the time was right. Let me see if I can redo that.
Yeah.
And so that off season, I worked harder than I worked before. I ate better. I lost a lot of weight. I wanted to come in lean, in shape. I wanted to do all the things that I can do of my power to be the best I can be. And when I stepped on that field and went to running and catching, it all showed up. It showed that, hey, this guy kind of took what he went through, in year one in New York and said, I will make sure that I don't go through this in Washington. And my main thing was when I got traded, I was happy for one, because if people knew the whole story of draft week, everyone had me going to Washington anyway.
Yeah.
So to now, fast forward, get to Washington, I feel like it was fate. I feel like it was meant for me to be there. And it was no question to me that season was going to be one of my better seasons, because just the way my approach was.
Talk about your teammates for a minute. Give me some names of some of your favorite teammates you enjoyed being in the locker room with and playing on the field with.
Well, my early years in Washington, man, I cannot share no story without talking about Sean Taylor.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those things when everybody just hear us from University of Miami, they automatically attach us together and say, well, Tanner played with this guy. No, he was much younger than me. So my years in Washington, those first 3 years with him was my first time experiencing the Sean Taylor experience that everybody had been talking about.
Yeah.
When I got to Washington, that was my 5th year in the league, and he was only coming to his 2nd year. I think they kind of did things of putting us around, pairing us together to make sure that I can be that guy that he can lean on if he had any question. And he didn't need to at times. We had a lot of conversations, but his play on the field was always, I was always stunned just what he can do. But no, he was phenomenal. He was a phenomenal teammate, man. I can talk the whole show about him.
Yeah.
But he was one of the guys that stood out. Got to talk about Portis. Portis was one of the reasons why I got to Washington. One of the best running backs in the league at the time when he was in Washington, man. I hate the fact that he didn't get a chance to get 10,000 rushing yards, because if he would have, man, we'll be hearing his name a lot too, talking about getting a yellow jacket. He was that phenomenal as a running back. London Fletcher. Oh, no other. I tell London all the time, I say, bro, it's one thing of having a guy that you consider your peer, but I looked at you as a father figure. You had this aura about you like you was somebody's dad. And we was all fathers. We was all dads. We all had kids. But, man, I would look across that locker room like, that guy's different. So I stayed out of his way a lot. And we joke about it now. And I think last but not least, man, I got to talk about Smoot. Smoot was one of those guys, man. He was like the nucleus. He was glue. Like, if you needed a teammate that was going to make sure everybody gelled together, it was Smoot. Whether he made a play or didn't make a play, he was the same guy. Yeah. He was going to have something funny to say. He was going to give it his all. And as a defensive back, you have to have what he had. And I think he didn't care. He didn't care whether it was a good or bad play. He was going to make it. He was going to go out there, and he was going to be accountable for his actions. So those guys are the guys, man, that just stick out, to me in my years in Washington.
We had a lot of years where we had some really great personalities, good character guys on the team, and you enjoyed several of those years with all those guys in the locker room. right now it looks like we're building a team very similar to that. Shoot, man, I'm having as much fun as I had when I was a little kid, watching them win games, going to the postseason.
I haven't had that much fun in watching a football game and anything about football, whether I was playing or watching, than last season. It was phenomenal. You know, everything starts up top. They came in there with the new ownership and they just put that foundation in the ground and say, this is what we got to go get, coaching-wise. They got the guy, and when they got him, he was able to build that culture. He built the culture back to what we should look like as a football team, as a team, and as a franchise. And I think from there, you just go get the pieces now. You go get all the added guys that's going to help you be who you're trying to be, who you're trying to show up and look like every time you step on that field between those white lines. And I give them all the credit, man, because for so many years as a player, I was on teams where I had phenomenal talent. I'm talking about names out the yin-yang. And you hear it from Hall of Famers to guys who projectedly probably going to be the best at their position. But if it don't fit what we're doing as an organization, whether it's offensively, defensively, special teams-wise, it ain't going to work on Sundays or ain't going to work on game day. And I think that's what they're doing here, that was able to have such a success that year one because they got the right guys for their system. When you have a guy like Jayden Daniels, and you see so many other teams have those kind of quarterbacks, man, when you have that guy, man, the rest is history.
What about this year has you excited? Besides, let's take Jayden off the table, right? We are excited.
Yeah, we already know about that.
Know about that. So, what is the new toy or the new piece of the puzzle you're looking forward to?
We went out and got some key acquisitions that's going to help us in some of the areas that we kind of felt that we was weak in last year. I think when you add a guy like JCJ, Connolly Jr., he's the offensive lineman we picked up. You got your offensive line got a lot better. You move a guy like Coleman, you bring a guy like Tunsil in. We just got better offensive line-wise, and we watched the Eagles plow through people because of their offensive line. So when you get better there, now you protect your quarterback, you protect that asset. Then also in the defensive back, man, when you get a guy like Will Harris, you get Jones, you get the little young kid we got in the draft, and Amos, all those guys can play some football, man. And now you're doing things in the secondary that I felt like last year we was a little handicapped. I'm looking forward to just with all the new added, key guys, and then also we just got one of the Hall of Famers himself.
That's right.
Who's going to be a Hall of Famer sooner or later himself, Von Miller, man. When you bring that kind of talent around, it just raises your floor and your ceiling a little bit.
Yeah.
I think now even the guys who are not projected to be that first team, second team guys, they have to be better. They have to be better just to even get looked at or get on the field. So it's just one of those things. You raise the bar for competition, and then you raise the level of play for your team.
Man, I appreciate you. It's been fun.
Thank you,
catching up.
Thank you, man. This has been
a
pleasure,
while.
man.
Yeah, I hadn't seen you in so long, and I'm glad to see you enjoying yourself.
No doubt.
And I love that you're still a part of the program and enjoying being, because that's I kind of feel like we have similarities there.
Yeah,
I retired from full-time racing, but I didn't want to.
But you're here.
Yeah, I want to still be an asset.
Want to be around, man.
So it's good to see you.
Thanks again, man.
You bet.
Thanks for having me.
Next time, couple laps.
I got to, man.
All
Please
right.
do.
We'll do
Please
it.
do.